Good morning, folks. Kevin here, Tattoo Toy Hunter. Getting ready to head off to work, but I gotta go drop off a Redbox movie first. And I'm always bad about not doing it till later and getting late charges. Like, just ridiculous, all the late charges I pay out of laziness. So today we're gonna do it. Anyway, I wanna go ahead and kind of put out a reaction video for episode 5 of the new Rick and Morty season 4. It was epic again. I loved it. All you Rick and Morty fans are gonna just totally dig it too. It was really good. A lot going on with this episode. We have, first of all, of course, Rick wanting to go out in space, cruise in space in his custom UFO, as a flying saucer. So anyway, to get Morty to be able to go with him, they're walking out, and what's his name? Jerry's trying to put up Christmas lights all over the house. Of course, he's struggling. You know, it's hard for him. He's not the brightest guy. So Rick gives him an ability that's going to wear off in so many hours. I think it was 6 hours, where he was going to be lighter than air. His body makeup, DNA, genetic makeup was going to be lighter than air, so he can float to reach all the areas of the roof in the house with the lights. But at the same time, so he doesn't float away, he makes his boots heavier than air slightly, so it gives him like a buoyancy where he can actually bounce. He can bounce around and land when he wants, but bounce up and kind of have he jump just a little better than normal, so it helps him really reach. So he's like loving it. He's like, yes, he could jump up and hang lights on stuff. So anyway, we have Rick and Morty, and they're cruising around in space, and they end up getting a flat tire for whatever reason. Rick wanted it to be like, he wrote software and everything for the UFO, the flying saucer, to be able to get a flat tire, and then it like actually started bouncing like a flat tire would on a road surface. And Morty's like, why does it feel like we're on, driving down a highway? And he says because he wanted the feeling of that. And then he was able to turn it off, and it started flying smooth again. And he had like Kristen Walker, an old actor actually. He's like, we have the celebrity package too, where he's telling you that it's a flat tire. It was ridiculous. So anyway, Morty's like, I want to go out with you into space while you fix the tire. And he's like, no, it's dangerous out there. Everything's out there. And Morty's trying to tell him, hey, there's nothing wrong with being out there. It's safe. And he goes, no, anything could happen out there. So anyway, Rick puts on a spacesuit, and he goes out, and he's working on the tire. And as he slams the door behind him, you see the vacuum of space sucking all the air out of Morty. He's dying. And then he shuts the door, and he comes back to normal. So anyway, while he's out fixing the tire, changing it, Morty puts on his spacesuit and goes out. And of course, Rick's pissed, like, I told you to stay out here. He's like, nothing's going to happen to me. He goes, anything could happen. So while they're out there, of course, a snake in a space snake suit. And this is supposed to be like the Buzz Aldrin of the snake world, because they're cruising by Snake World when this flat tire happened. So this was their maiden voyage into space like we had way back in the day. And he ends up biting Morty. Of course, Morty's dying. Morty breaks the little snake helmet and kills this very important snake for snake's evolution. Morty kills it trying to protect himself. So anyway, Rick takes him back into the spaceship. He looks up all of the snakes, their history and everything, and learned all about them really quick on his computers. That way he can create a vaccine and antidote and save Morty's life. So he does. And then he puts on music, which was snake jazz. And they love it. They both love it. So anyway, they go back to Earth. And at the same time, on the side story, Jerry's just in trouble. He's floating off. He tries to go to a local, like a park, where they're playing basketball, and he thinks, I can use this buoyancy from these being lighter than air to dunk, and he wants to show off. Well, they end up thinking he's racist because the way he's talking, white men can jump. So they consider him racist and everything. And when he goes to dunk, he loses one of his shoes, which changes him being able to control from floating off. So he floats off into the sky. He's in trouble. So anyway, they go back to Rick and Morty's deal, and they go back to Earth, to the house, and Morty's really worried because he finds out that he has forever changed the history and the future of these snakes by interfering with, you know, their major events of discovering space travel and all that. So what he does is his grandpa Rick gets shit-faced drunk, passes out. So he steals the UFO keys. He goes and buys an expensive snake at a petting zoo or like a snake shop, animal shop, and he puts it in the snake spacesuit that they had saved from the last one that he killed, and he dumped him off. And he cruises in the flying saucer. He cruises back to that snake world and throws him out in a parachute. Of course, the snake takes a couple bites on him before he does, and the snake people get this other snake that's from Earth, and they start testing him, and they bring in like one of their geniuses that is a college instructor, and they do tests and everything. This is a female snake, of course, and it's funny. They start screwing around. He has sex with the female snake that came from Earth, ends up screwing around with the other snake, and it changes. They're like able to move. They realize that this snake is not from Snake World, so they start working on their technology to time travel as well, because they want to find who messed up with their, you know, who screwed with their timeline and all that. So they go back to Earth, and then we realize Morty and Rick are being attacked by future kind of Terminator-esque storyline, where they're after these robot Terminators. Snakes are after Rick and Morty because Morty's screwing around. They want to kill Morty. He's basically like the Connor. So anyway, there's another little robot that kind of looks human, but he's ugly looking, has like a snake head almost, and he has a little bit of skin on him. He's supposed to be like Kyle Reese, and he's like trying to protect Morty and the family. He gets killed immediately. So they have a big mess. Well, then they realize two more Rick and Mortys from the future show up, and they're like, you screwed everything up, you need to fix it up. Here's some snake suits. Go back in time with these snake suits and give them the ability to travel, and this will fix everything. So they're talking smack to each other and everything. Anyway, the future Rick and Morty leave, so our current Rick and Morty have to actually time travel with these snake suits, go back to the 85 and change everything. So they do that. They go back to 85. They leave a book for people to see that's about time travel. They teach 85 how to travel. They did it on purpose because I don't know if you remember, but seasons past we had those weird, they look kind of like the Little Shop of Horrors head. They were time police. So these time police catch on to what happened in 85. They blame the snakes. So they go back to the caveman days and they like kill these snakes. They beat the crap out of the snakes to make sure that they don't change the timeline, because that's who they're blaming and not Rick and Morty, which it was Rick and Morty. So we go back to current time again, and these snakes are just pounding on everybody. You see Jerry, everybody having to fight these things. Jerry ends up making it back home, and Beth and all the kids are fighting these snakes, and then finally the time police, what they do takes hold, and it changes, and all the snakes disappear because of the time police. So it ended up ending like that. Jerry ends up on the roof. He finishes the lights and he starts talking shit to Rick, like, yeah, motherfucker, I don't need you and this and that. Well, he falls off the roof, breaks his leg, and then of course he's like, his leg's all bent, you can see it all screwed up. And then so anyway, Rick uses his gun and he zaps the leg. He heals it 50% only. He could have healed it 100%, but to be dick like Rick is, he heals it 50%. And then he's like, 50%, man, you got the rest. So he crawls inside and that's how it ends. So it was a really great episode. I probably didn't explain it as good as it was, but it was, I enjoyed it a lot. It's one of my favorites again. I don't know if this was episode 5, so this was supposed to be the only thing they had ready when this season started, is what I understand. So I don't know, they don't say when the next episode is. We may have to wait till Christmas is over. Hopefully not. Hopefully they have some more written by now, but we don't know for sure. So anyway, episode 5 was amazing. I hope you all enjoy it. Make sure to check it out. This is Kevin the Tattoo Toy Hunter, reminding you never give up that hunt, and y'all take care. Pew, pew, pew. Peace.